Welcome to Stories for Sleep, a small, quiet space where stories are told not to make you think more, but to help you gently set things down after a long day. In this video, we will slowly enter a topic that may seem intense at first, yet carries a very gentle rhythm within it. Storms. Rain, wind, thunder, lightning, these are not merely weather phenomena. They are the way the earth regulates itself, releases what has built up and returns to balance. And perhaps in a similar way, so does the human mind. From Carl Jung's perspective, powerful inner movements are not always signs of disorder. Sometimes they are the most natural path toward healing. When night falls, when life slows down, the sounds of rain and storms can become a safe background wide enough that you no longer need to think about anything at all. You don't need to remember information. You don't need to concentrate. You only need to listen and let the rhythm of the rain carry you gently away from the noise of the day. If stories like this help you sleep more easily, you're welcome to softly subscribe to the Stories for Sleep channel so we can meet again on other nights. For now, you can let yourself relax, and we begin. There are nights when the outside world feels too loud and our inner world begins to storm as well. Unfinished thoughts, unsettled emotions, nameless worries, all gathering like heavy clouds in the chest. And paradoxically, it is often in these moments that the image of a storm, falling rain, blowing wind, distant thunder helps many people sleep more deeply. Why would something as seemingly violent as a storm bring relaxation? Perhaps because storms are not as chaotic as we imagine. Beneath the rain, wind, and flashes of light lies a deep order, a natural rhythm the earth has followed for billions of years, long before humans existed. A storm is not a loss of control. It is how the planet balances itself, releasing energy, distributing water, renewing the atmosphere. Carl Jung once suggested that the human psyche has its own storms, when emotions are suppressed for too long. When psychological energy cannot circulate, it seeks a way to move. And like storms in nature, these movements are not meant to destroy, but to restore a deeper balance. The problem of modern humans is not that we have too many storms, but that we lack safe spaces to listen to them. We fear intensity. We fear what isn't quiet. So we try to silence every inner vibration. Yet when night falls, when the light softens and life slows down, the sounds of nature, especially rain and storms, remind us of something ancient. Movement itself can be healing. In this video, we will not look at storms as disasters, nor as dry scientific lessons. We will enter the world of storms slowly, as if listening to a long, atmospheric symphony. You may hear why lightning can be hotter than the surface of the sun, why thunder is more than just noise, why a thunderstorm resembles a breathing body. But above all, you will feel the deep, steady rhythm beneath the outer intensity. You don't need to remember everything you hear. You don't need to understand it all. You only need to listen, allowing the storms outside to do their work and permitting the storms within you to gradually settle. And when the rain slows, when the wind feels farther away, you may notice something gentle. Peace does not always come from complete silence. Sometimes it comes from being near a movement large enough that you no longer need to think. Let this journey begin, very slowly and very gently. Part 1. Introduction: Entering the World of Storms. When people think of storms, they often imagine chaos, torrential rain, howling wind, a darkened sky that feels out of control. But if we look a little longer and slowly enough, we begin to see that storms are not nature breaking apart, but a highly organized form of movement. A storm is not just rain and wind. It is a living system, a vast structure in which air, water, heat, and electricity continuously exchange, respond, and adjust to one another. Nothing acts alone. Every movement triggers another. Every change is answered by a new balance. If we observe the atmosphere long enough, we may start to feel it as a giant body breathing. When heat builds up, air rises. When pressure shifts, wind moves. When energy needs release, rain falls. There is no anger here, only the natural response of a system trying to remain stable. Carl Jung believed the human psyche works in much the same way. When emotions are suppressed for too long, when psychological energy cannot flow, it seeks a path of movement. Sometimes that path feels intense, even overwhelming, as if we are losing control. But when seen more deeply, this is not collapse. It is self-regulation from within. Modern humans struggle not because there is too much movement, but because we no longer allow ourselves to stay with it. We fear what is not quiet. We want instant calm. But nature does not operate that way, and neither does sleep. This is why at night the sound of rain and storms has such a peculiar effect. It demands nothing from us. It doesn't ask for attention. It simply exists steady enough to drown out the restless voices in the mind, rhythmic enough to avoid tension, as if the atmosphere were whispering to the nervous system, everything is being taken care of. To enter the world of storms, then, is not to enter danger, but to enter a rhythm larger than oneself, a place where control is unnecessary, where understanding is optional, where doing nothing is enough. Listen to rain, not to count drops. Listen to wind, not to analyze direction. Listen to distant thunder, not to predict what comes next. Just listen. So the mind has a wide, deep background where small thoughts can dissolve without being pushed away. Atmospheric movement is cyclical. It rises, peaks, and settles. Storms do not last forever. And most importantly, they don't need instructions to know when to end. Order exists within the movement itself. This creates a very ancient sense of safety. Before cities' lights and glowing screens, humans slept through long rains. Storm sounds were not threats, they were signs the world was functioning as it should. Inviting you into the world of storms is really an invitation to step out of effort, out of long days of reacting and holding. Here there are no tasks to complete, no information to remember, nothing to solve. You don't need to focus. You don't need to force relaxation. You don't need to sleep correctly. You only need to stay, like standing by a window on a rainy night doing nothing, watching water slide down glass, listening to distant wind, letting the outer rhythm slowly synchronize with the inner one. In this moment, the storm becomes more than weather. It becomes a psychological space, wide enough that you don't have to be the center, strong enough that you don't need to hold everything by will, slow enough that the body remembers how to let go. And as you listen, you may notice something subtle. Not all peace comes from absolute stillness. Some peace comes from steady movement that asks nothing of you. If tonight you allow yourself to enter the world of storms this way, you are not seeking something new. You are returning to an ancient experience, one that helped humans sleep through countless generations. From here, the journey continues. No rush, no force, just keep listening. There is something fascinating about storms. They do not need observers to exist. They don't perform. They don't seek impact. They simply do what the atmosphere needs to do at that moment. And this very indifference brings humans a deep sense of safety. When we stop seeing storms as threats and start seeing them as processes, fear gives way to curiosity, then to a quiet calm. Nothing in a storm is random. Every movement has a reason. Every change is a response. Like human emotions, when observed patiently, storms become far less frightening. Carl Jung believed that suffering arises not from strong inner movements, but from resistance to them. When we try to force everything into calmness and order, suppressed energy seeks another outlet, sometimes violently. Storms teach a gentle lesson. Not everything needs to be calmed by suppression. Some things only need permission to pass through. Rain doesn't ask before falling. Wind doesn't apologize for blowing hard. And yet everything eventually leaves, creating a lighter, clearer atmosphere. When you listen to storms at night, you don't need to name your feelings. You don't need to explain why these sounds soothe you. Your body understands before consciousness does. The nervous system recognizes a familiar rhythm, continuous, non-demanding, free of information to process. So you can let go. Let go of unfinished thoughts. Let go of unanswered questions. Let go of the need to relax correctly. The storm asks nothing of you. It simply exists. And in that steady presence, the mind releases its grip on each small thought, as if a larger movement has taken over, holding the world, so you don't have to anymore. Soon you may notice you're listening not just with your ears, but with your whole body. Breathing slows, shoulders soften, the jaw loosens. These small signals mean you're synchronizing with a rhythm that requires no effort. Entering the world of storms is not entering something new. It's returning to a primal knowing humans have carried for a long time. When nature moves, humans can rest. And if you are not asleep yet, that is perfectly okay. You don't need to go anywhere. Just stay here, in the imagined sound of rain and wind, letting everything unfold at its own pace. The storm is not in a hurry. The night is not in a hurry. And you don't need to be either. Part 2. The energy of storms when air becomes intense. When we speak of storms, we are really speaking of energy. Immense, invisible energy that is always present, but only occasionally reveals itself clearly. A storm is when air can no longer remain still. It is forced to move, collide, and release what has accumulated for too long. Lightning is the clearest expression of this release. In a fraction of a second, a lightning bolt can be hotter than the surface of the Sunday. But the significance lies not in the number, it lies in the principle. When energy differences grow too large, nature cannot keep them static. A path must open, opposites must connect, even briefly. Seen this way, lightning is not aggression but honesty. Where accumulation exists, release is needed. No judgment, no hesitation, just precise timing. Thunder, the sound that often startles us, is not meaningless noise. It is a physical shockwave, created when air heats and expands at unimaginable speed. Thunder is air announcing that something enormous has just occurred. And yet, despite their power, lightning and thunder rarely harm us. They occur far away, above us, in spaces far larger than the human body. That distance allows us to listen without reacting. Carl Jung believed the psyche contains similar energies. Suppressed emotions and conflicts do not vanish. They accumulate. Without healthy release, they emerge as anger, anxiety, panic, or nameless exhaustion. But just like lightning in a storm, intensity does not equal danger when it occurs in a space large enough. When there is a safe inner atmosphere, where emotions are allowed without judgment, powerful energy can pass through without destruction. A thunderstorm may contain energy equivalent to hundreds of thousands of tons of explosives, but it doesn't explode. The energy disperses into rain, wind, light, and sound. Nature never traps energy in one point. It allows movement, and that prevents collapse. Air, often thought of as empty, is full of potential. Pressured by temperature and force, it becomes fierce, swirling, rising, falling, yet always following laws. Never absolute chaos, only precise responses to conditions. Listening to storms at night sends a clear message to the nervous system. Powerful energy is being released, and it is not your responsibility. You don't need to understand it. You don't need to manage it. The world is adjusting itself. This creates deep relaxation. The mind releases control. The body softens vigilance. You are allowed to become smaller, to lie still, while something larger moves through. Perhaps this is why distant thunder helps people sleep. It reassures us the strongest forces do not need our intervention. We may rest. In the darkness, lightning becomes a brief flash, then gone. Thunder becomes a low pulse, then fades. Nothing lasts forever. No energy remains trapped. You don't need to calm your inner energy right now. You don't need to solve anything. You can let natural storms do something ancient for you, allow energy to move so the rest may rest. And as thunder settles and lightning becomes memory, you may realize intensity and peace are not opposites. Sometimes intensity placed correctly allows peace to emerge. Storms do not exist for us. They existed before us, extend beyond us, and continue after us. This lack of personal relevance creates deep safety. Hearing distant thunder, the brain perceives a comforting paradox. Immense energy is releasing, but you are not responsible. Vigilance lowers, control dissolves. Jung observed that much psychological tension comes from identifying with every inner movement. Storms offer another image. Some energies only need permission to pass. Lightning strikes not from anger, but from imbalance, seeking correction. Once released, stability returns. So too with strong emotions. They arise not from weakness, but from long accumulation. When allowed space, they pass without harm. Air becomes intense under pressure, yet remains air. It changes state, then returns to calm. Listening to storms before sleep teaches this gently. All states pass. You don't need to resolve emotions before sleep. You don't need a tidy mind. You don't need to understand your tiredness. You only need space wide enough that inner energies don't collide with walls. Distant thunder is like a deep drumbeat, slow, steady, marking cycles. Cycles create safety, beginnings, peaks, endings. Right now, somewhere far beyond you, energy is being released exactly where it belongs, so you don't need to hold yours anymore. Perhaps your shoulders have lowered slightly, your breath deepened a little, thoughts feel less sticky. That's not effort. That's your nervous system remembering trust. Storms don't need understanding to function, and you don't need to understand everything to rest. Part 3. Inside the thunderstorm. A hidden factory in the sky. From a distance, a thunderstorm may look like a dark, heavy cloud drifting slowly across the sky. But if we could step inside it, if we could listen to the movement within that massive cloud, we would realize that a storm is never still. It is a vast factory where energy is lifted, transformed, stored, and released in remarkably precise cycles. Warm, moist air is the first raw material of this factory. When the ground accumulates enough heat, the air near the surface becomes lighter and begins to rise like an invisible elevator. No one pushes it, no command is needed. A simple difference in temperature is enough to create movement. The air rises, carrying moisture, energy, and the potential for further transformation. This upward movement, called an updraft, is not rushed. It follows its own rhythm. When strong enough, it lifts tiny droplets of water high into colder regions of the sky. There, water freezes, melts, freezes again, over and over. Within this repetition, hailstones are born and slowly grow layer by layer, ring by ring, like the growth rings of a tree. Each hailstone carries the history of the storm. It has been lifted, dropped, and lifted again. Every icy layer records a passage through cold, a return to warmth. No layer is unnecessary. No cycle is skipped. Hail does not grow quickly. It matures through movement. Carl Jung suggested that the human psyche forms in much the same way, not through sudden leaps, but through repeated cycles of experience. Each time an emotion rises into consciousness, sinks back into the unconscious and returns again, it leaves behind a thin but durable layer of understanding. Over time, these layers create depth. Inside a thunderstorm, nothing is wasted. Energy is stored as air rises and released as rain falls. Energy does not disappear. It changes form, heat into motion, motion into rain, rain into cooling the earth below. Seen this way, a storm is no longer a meaningless event that comes and goes. It is a complete cycle, intake and output, accumulation and release. And it is this completeness that allows even a powerful storm to carry a deep inner order. Every raindrop that falls also completes a journey. It begins as invisible vapor rises, high condenses, grows, and finally returns to the ground, carrying energy from the sky back to the earth. No raindrop takes a shortcut. Each one passes through multiple atmospheric layers to complete its path. Listening to a storm at night, if we slow down enough, we may sense that everything is moving on our behalf. The energies we hold during the day, tension, worry, thinking, are now visible outside us within a much larger system. And when energy is carried outward, the mind can rest. Jung described this as the moment when the ego is no longer the center. When we no longer need to coordinate everything, when we trust that other systems are working just fine, a deep sense of safety appears. In this role, the thunderstorm becomes a symbol of functioning without conscious control. Air rises and falls. Water freezes and melts. Energy accumulates and releases. Nothing remains stuck in one state forever. This is why the sound of rain within a storm is so lulling. It is not mechanically regular, yet not chaotic. It rises and falls, sometimes strong, sometimes gentle, like the deep breathing of a giant being. And as we listen long enough, our nervous system begins to imitate that rhythm. You don't need to visualize the storm's structure in detail. You only need to know that somewhere above a factory is operating perfectly without light supervision or praise. It works silently in the sky, so that the ground below can be cooled, nourished, and balanced. And as you lie here listening, you don't need to complete your own journey right away. You can allow the updrafts of thought to lift you slightly, then let them set you down again gently, unhurried. Each loop is a layer of letting go. Each cycle brings you closer to sleep. Inside the storm, everything has its place. And inside you, so does everything. One easily overlooked detail in a thunderstorm's structure is this: no movement happens only once. Air doesn't rise just a single time. It rises, falls, and rises again. Raindrops don't travel in one direction. They are lifted, dropped, collide, transform, and continue on. It is repetition that creates the storm's strength. In nature, nothing develops in a straight line. Everything spirals, returns, and continues. Hail grows not because it is stronger, but because it endures, passing through the same regions repeatedly. Each icy ring marks a refusal to give up a capacity to remain intact through constant lifting and falling. Through Jung's lens, this is precisely how the unconscious works. An experience is rarely resolved in one pass. It returns, and each return is different, bringing a new layer of understanding, a new level of tolerance, a new psychological thickness. The storm does not judge repetition. It does not see returning as failure. It relies on repetition to fulfill its function. And this offers a gentle message to us. Not everything must be finished immediately. Some things need many cycles to ripen. Listening to steady, prolonged rain, the nervous system learns something essential. All movement has rhythm. Nothing rises forever. Nothing falls forever. This regularity allows the brain to stop constant prediction. And without prediction, the mind can rest. Inside the storm, energy is not trapped in one place, it is distributed throughout the system. This contrasts sharply with how humans often handle stress, holding everything in one spot. Hearing about storms as factories in the sky redistributing energy helps us relearn how not to hold everything inside. You don't need to contain everything. You don't need to process everything before sleep. You don't need to complete yourself in one night. A storm is not perfect. It is simply complete enough to finish a cycle. Then it dissolves, leaving cooler air, moistened earth, and a quiet afterward. If you feel sleepier now, it's not because you've understood more. It's because the brain has stopped trying to move in straight lines. It has allowed circular movement, rising and falling motion, without destination. Like raindrops, you don't need to know where you're falling from. You only need to know that you're being returned to the right place. And while the storm's factory continues its work somewhere in the sky, you can trust this. There are systems functioning beautifully without your participation. Part 4. The most dangerous types of storms in nature. Most movement is distributed. Wind spreads. Rain falls widely. Energy disperses across large spaces, which is why serious damage is relatively rare at any single point. But sometimes, under very specific conditions, energy is not distributed evenly. It becomes compressed, twisted, forced into narrow structures, and that is when the most dangerous storms appear. It's important to say from the beginning, these phenomena are not nature's anger. They carry no intention to destroy. They arise from concentrated energy within an otherwise vast system. When rare conditions align, a supercell, the most powerful storm system can produce multiple tornadoes throughout its lifespan. Not because it is more aggressive, but because it contains a stable, rotating structure that allows energy to be lifted, twisted, and released repeatedly. A supercell is like a slow-turning machine sustaining movement longer than usual. A tornado is the clearest expression of this concentration. Instead of spreading outward, wind is compressed into a narrow column, spinning at extreme speed. And yet, most of the surrounding sky remains calm. Energy doesn't engulf everything. It follows a very narrow path. From a depth psychology perspective, this image is striking. Jung noted that when psychological energy is suppressed for too long without healthy channels of release, it tends to erupt in concentrated, sometimes violent ways through a single behavior, emotion, or moment. Not because the person has become bad, but because the system lacked space. A microburst, a sudden downward blast of wind, has a different character. It doesn't rotate. It doesn't last. It strikes quickly and disappears just as fast. A mass of cold, heavy air collapses toward the ground, spreads outward, and then stabilizes. For a brief moment, its winds may exceed those of a tornado, but only for minutes. A microburst is like a sudden discharge. Energy held aloft too long falls straight down, but afterward the system settles. There is no extended cycle, no lingering aftershock. A squall line, a storm wall stretching hundreds of kilometers is dangerous in another way. Instead of focusing on one point, it advances broadly. Strong winds, heavy rain, continuous lightning, all moving together like a sweeping wave. It doesn't twist, it progresses, and after it passes, a clear calm often follows. What's striking is that even the most dangerous storms have clear boundaries. They don't arise everywhere. They require specific conditions. And importantly, they don't last forever. Each is a phase within a larger atmospheric cycle. Hearing about these storms slowly at night doesn't provoke fear. It can create reassurance. Even the most extreme movements have structure and limits. There is no absolute chaos. No power exists outside natural law. This matters deeply before sleep. Much nighttime anxiety comes from the sense that everything could break apart at any moment. But when we understand and feel that danger arises from excessive compression, we begin to trust that with space, rhythm, and dispersion, movement itself is not threatening. The most dangerous storms teach us that the issue isn't energy, it's how energy is contained. With enough space, time, and channels, energy becomes life. Forced into one point, it becomes destruction. This is true for the atmosphere and for the mind. So tonight you don't need vivid images of danger. You can simply hold one gentle feeling: every system needs space. And night is the space being given to your body and mind. You don't need to compress everything. You don't need to hold yourself together by will. You can allow inner energy to spread, breathe, and settle. The most dangerous storms appear only when there is no outlet. And sleep is the gentlest outlet nature offers humans. All the most dangerous storms share a quiet commonality: they arise in constrained spaces. Not because nature seeks compression, but because at that moment, air currents lack room to spread. Energy is forced through narrow channels, and that is what feels frightening. A tornado doesn't fill the sky. It travels along a narrow path. But because energy is intensely compressed, everything within becomes fragile. This can create the illusion that the whole world is collapsing, when in fact most surrounding space remains calm. From Jung's perspective, humanity's deepest fear isn't power, it's loss of boundaries. When an emotion arises too strong with nowhere to place it, the psyche labels it dangerous. Microbursts share this quality. They strike too quickly to adapt. But seen from a wider view, they are simply release reflexes. Heavy air falling so the upper system can continue. Squall lines teach another lesson: collective force. They feel inescapable, yet because they spread energy broadly, they don't twist it tightly. They are powerful yet rhythmic, fierce yet directional, and afterward stability returns. In inner life, emotions frighten us not because they are too large, but because they lack space. When everything is held inside without rest, sharing, or movement, energy compresses. When it bursts, it does so in unwanted ways. Dangerous storms are not enemies of life. They are signs of excessive pressure. And when space returns, when pressure drops, they dissolve. Sleep is that space for humans. At night demands lessen. Light softens. In that safe darkness, inner energy is no longer forced into daytime rhythms. It can spread, settle, and reorganize. So as you hear about dangerous storms before sleep, you don't need fear. You can keep a gentle trust. Even the fiercest phenomena are temporary phases within a larger cycle. No storm lasts forever. No energy lacks an outlet. No human state is permanent. If your body feels softer now, it's not because you've learned facts. It's because your nervous system recognizes that danger lies not in movement, but in lack of space for movement. And tonight, you already have that space. Part 5. Tropical Storms. The ocean's heat engine. Among Gubelid, all storms, tropical cyclones, may inspire the greatest mix of fear and awe, not because of wind speed alone, but because of their slow, persistent scale. A storm can last for days or weeks, moving across the ocean like a giant organism, absorbing energy, transforming it, and returning it to the world in its own way. At the heart of a tropical storm lies warm ocean water. The ocean stores heat under the sun, like an immense energy reservoir. When the surface becomes warm enough, water vapor rises quietly, steadily, day and night. From this evaporation, the storm's engine begins. When vapor condenses into clouds and rain, latent heat is released. Energy once hidden now spreads through the system, warming the storm's core and lifting air even higher. The more condensation occurs, the more heat is released. The more heat released, the longer the system sustains itself. A tropical storm doesn't feed on wind, it feeds on heat. Seen this way, a tropical storm is a perfect heat engine, slow, steady, efficient. It doesn't explode. It rotates evenly, drawing energy from the ocean and transforming it into atmospheric movement. As long as warm water remains below, the engine keeps running. The eye of the storm, the strangely calm center, is one of nature's most beautiful paradoxes. Around it rage fierce winds and rain. Yet inside lies a circular stillness where skies may brighten and air rests. Not because the storm is weak, but because it has reached a temporary balance. Surrounding the eye is the eye wall, the zone of strongest winds and heaviest rain. Even this structure isn't permanent. In major storms, the eye wall may be replaced, a new ring forms outside, tightens inward, and the old one dissolves. This is not failure, it's self-restructuring. Remarkably, storms can grow larger, even as winds weaken. Cloud fields expand, rain spreads wider, influence grows while intensity at one point lessens. Strength, then, isn't just force, it's reach and rhythm. Through Jung's lens, tropical storms resemble deep psychological processes. Not sudden emotions, but slow transformations born of long accumulation. When emotional energy releases gradually, cyclically, it doesn't destroy personality, it reshapes it. Listening to tropical storms before sleep can reduce anxiety. It reminds us that the world knows how to handle excess energy. Not all accumulation leads to collapse. Some lead to rebalancing within systems wide and slow enough. The imagined sound of offshore rain, deep, steady, prolonged, can become an ideal sleep background. It carries no demand, no information, only reassurance that large movements are unfolding without your intervention. You don't need to be the engine. You don't need to maintain the rhythm. You don't need to hold energy for the world. The ocean has done that for ages, and storms are simply its exhale. If your eyelids feel heavier now, it's not fatigue, it's recognition. Slow cyclical movement is safe. And when the nervous system knows this, sleep arrives naturally, like vapor condensing when conditions are right. What distinguishes tropical storms isn't momentary violence, but endurance. They move slowly, steadily, without urgency. and the ocean feeds them quietly, each square meter contributing a small share. No explosions, just persistent exchange. Jung believed major psychological transformations require time, repetition, and a vast inner ocean. Tropical storms don't destroy the sea, they borrow energy and return it as new order. Symbolically, the eye of the storm is a still center within change, not absence of energy, but rhythm found. Many people experience such phases: outer chaos, inner calm, not avoidance, but acceptance of the cycle. Eye wall replacement offers a gentle lesson when old structures can't carry energy forward. Nature doesn't cling. It forms a wider, more stable ring and lets the old dissolve without judgment. This matters before sleep. You don't need to keep old mental structures, reactions, or daytime roles. Night allows dissolution, so tomorrow may form something lighter. A storm may weaken in wind yet grow in reach, showing that power isn't always tension. Sometimes energy spreads, softens, and deepens impact. Tonight, you don't need to picture oceans or maps. Just hold one, feeling slow movements exist for balance, not harm. You don't need to force rest. You don't need to shut down thoughts. You can let sleep arrive as a tropical storm forms slowly when conditions are ready naturally. And as you drift into sleep, you are not leaving the world. You are allowing the ocean within you to keep breathing while you rest. Part 6. Electricity in storms. The invisible network. There is something very special about electricity. In storms, we do not see it until it appears. Before lightning flashes, the sky can seem entirely ordinary. Clouds drift quietly. The air feels calm. Yet inside, an invisible network is already forming, silently accumulating charge, waiting for the right moment to connect opposing regions. In this sense, a storm is like a vast battery. Water droplets, ice crystals, and hail collide inside the cloud, constantly exchanging electric charge. Negative charge gathers in one region, positive charge in another. There is no hurry, no sound. Only the quiet preparation of a system slowly approaching balance. Lightning does not appear because the sky is angry, but because the difference has grown too great to remain silent. When lightning flashes, it does not disrupt the storm's order. On the contrary, it is how the storm releases itself in order to continue. A very brief, very bright moment, carrying a deeply regulating purpose. What is fascinating is that lightning does not always strike straight down. It can travel horizontally for dozens of kilometers, connecting distant regions of cloud. Some lightning never touches the ground at all, running only within the sky as if repairing internal connections in the system. The light flashes and fades, but the work is done. In Jungian psychology, this closely mirrors how the unconscious operates. Some connections in the human mind do not follow straight lines. A memory may link to a distant emotion. A present thought may activate a very old layer of experience. These flashes appear suddenly, then vanish, yet they leave behind a new inner balance. Positive lightning, rare but extremely powerful, has a different character. It often strikes from high regions of the cloud, where positive charge accumulates and can travel great distances, even appearing where there is no rain at all. This is why it is called a bolt from the blue. Unpredictable, yet deeply symbolic. Not every release comes from where we are watching the storm. Some tensions accumulate very high, very deep, and when they find a path, they may appear in places that seem calm. This does not mean the world is unsafe. It simply shows that invisible connections extend far beyond what the eye can see. Listening to electricity in storms before sleep in this slow way brings a special feeling that everything is connected, even if we cannot track every thread. This allows the mind to let go. We do not need to understand everything. We do not need to control everything. There are networks working on our behalf. Thunder, the sound that accompanies lightning, reminds us that every release leaves an echo, but that echo does not last forever. It spreads, softens, and dissolves into space. No thunder rolls endlessly, and no tension needs to be carried forever inside the body. As you listen to these words at night, you do not need to picture lightning clearly. You only need to sense the idea that streams of energy are finding their own paths, so you do not have to carry them into sleep. You do not need to do anything. No reaction, no preparation. Like the sky, your mind can hold many charges, thoughts, emotions, memories. But with enough space, distance, and darkness, these differences naturally find balance. And when balance happens, the body knows it is time to rest. Electricity in storms is not a threat. It is a dialogue between different parts of nature. And sleep, in a very similar way, is a dialogue between different parts of you, without words, without light, requiring only permission. If your breathing feels deeper and slower now, it is not because you tried. It is because the nervous system has recognized that the invisible network is functioning steadily. And when that is recognized, sleep can arrive very gently. There is something deeply comforting about storm electricity. Most of the time it works in silence. Before lightning appears, minutes or even hours of charging may occur without any sensory sign. The sky does not announce it. And this quiet preparation reminds us that the most important things are not always loud. Storms carry a network far larger than the space we stand in. Electric charge accumulates, not only within a single cloud, but between cloud layers, between cloud and ground, even between distant regions of the sky. When lightning travels dozens of kilometers sideways, it is restoring balance across the entire system, not just at one point. This reflects inner life profoundly. In Jung's view, the personal unconscious and the collective unconscious are connected by invisible threads. An emotion today may arise from a distant past experience. A brief dream may connect seemingly unrelated life fragments. Like lightning, these connections do not follow the shortest path, but the necessary one. Positive lightning teaches a gentle lesson. Not every release comes from where we are paying attention. Some pressures live high in the psyche, expectations, ideals, the things we think we should become. When these pressures find release, they may appear suddenly, in moments of great quiet. This is not destruction. It is a final adjustment, preventing overload. Hearing about lightning that can strike without rain may seem unsettling at first, but when viewed slowly, it reveals something else. Everything is more interconnected than we imagine. And because of that, we do not need constant vigilance. We do not need to understand everything. Networks are already working to keep the world and the mind in balance. When night falls and light softens, the human brain becomes more sensitive to background rhythm. Strong signals withdraw. Deep connections emerge. And in that darkness, as in a storm, energy quietly finds its path again. You do not need to monitor every current in the sky, and you do not need to track every thought in your mind. Sleep does not require supervision. It only needs the sense that the system is safe. And as you hear storms, described as invisible electric networks that sense slowly forms, large movements are being handled in the right place at the right time, without your involvement. If your thoughts feel more scattered now, that is not loss of focus. It is the mind releasing control over connections, allowing threads to find their own order. And when that happens, sleep no longer needs effort. Just as lightning flashes only when necessary, sleep arrives when you no longer have to call for it. And in this darkness, as the invisible networks of sky and mind quietly adjust themselves, you can rest knowing there is nothing left for you to handle tonight. Part 7. Sound waves and what we cannot hear, perhaps the play. The first thing people sense when a storm approaches is not rain nor wind, but sound. A distant roll of thunder, a deep pulse echoing from the sky. Without seeing lightning, simply by hearing, we know that somewhere near or far a great movement has just occurred. Thunder is not random noise. It is a spatial map of lightning. When lightning tears through the air expands violently, creating shock waves that travel outward in all directions. Our ears do not hear a single point. They hear a journey. Sound arrives first from what is closest, then continues from farther distances. Each thunderclap is therefore a story of space depth and the invisible structure of the sky. Because of this spatial quality, thunder has a unique effect on humans. It places us within a larger reference frame. When we hear thunder, we are no longer the center. Something vast and elevated is moving. And paradoxically, this can create deep relaxation. But storm sound does not stop at what we can hear. Below the threshold of human hearing lies infrasound, slow, long waves that can travel hundreds of kilometers. We do not hear them as sound, but the body senses them. The chest subtly vibrates. The stomach softens. The heartbeat shifts slightly. Infrasound explains why many people feel a strange state during storms. Not fear, not calm, but a deep settling. The nervous system senses a large movement occurring, yet no action is required. Without the need to act, the body can enter a low-alert rest state very close to sleep. Jung emphasized that the unconscious does not communicate through logic, but through rhythm, image, and sensation. Storm infrasound is precisely such communication. No meaning, no words. Just the steady presence of a vast oscillation enough to quiet the smaller oscillations of the mind. Beyond sound waves, the atmosphere also carries gravity waves. Huge ripples formed when air is pushed upward, and then falls like water waves spreading when a stone drops into a lake. These waves are quiet, gentle, and long-lasting. Some storm-generated gravity waves influence the atmosphere far away, even hours after the storm has dissipated. This creates a beautiful image. Storms do not simply pass. They leave echoes, not loud ones, but slow, deep ripples that continue through space. Similarly, major psychological experiences do not vanish when events end. They leave after effects in emotion, dreams, subtle rhythm changes. In this way, storms are more than physical events. They are multi-layered dialogues. They speak through lightning light, through thunder sound, through infrasound sensation, through gravity waves, long rhythm. There is no single frequency, no single channel. This makes storms ideal storytellers for night. When we hear rain and distant thunder, we do not need to understand the story. We simply exist within the vibrational field. Sharp, daytime thoughts operating at high frequency are softened by low, slow, steady oscillations. The mind loses its edge. This is why many people sleep deeply to storm sounds. Not because they enjoy storms, but because their nervous system finds a steadier baseline than thought itself. When a large enough foundation exists, small inner noises lose dominance. You do not need to distinguish thunder from infrasound or gravity waves. Your body has known how to listen long before concepts existed. Long before science, humans slept beneath storms, synchronizing biological rhythms with the sounds of the sky. And if now your mind feels slower, that is not distraction. It is a frequency shift, a mode that does not require thinking or deciding, simply being. Storms speak across many frequencies, and sleep arrives from very low ones. If you allow yourself to remain in this gentle vibration a little longer, doing nothing, just listening, you may realize that not everything important needs to be heard by the ears. Some things only need to be felt. And on some nights, that is enough. There is a gentle truth about humans. The body listens before the mind understands. Before the question, "What is this?" the nervous system already asks, "Is this safe?" And storm sounds, especially low, slow, distant ones, often answer with something ancient: safe, to stay still. Distant thunder does not urge action. It is not sharp or sudden. It is long, deep, and fading. Because it does not rush to end, the nervous system learns there is no need to react. Survival reflexes remain quiet and the body naturally slows. Infrasound rocks the body gently like ocean swells, or the heart rhythm of deep sleep. Even unheard bones, skin, and organs sense it. The body is literally lulled from within. For Jung, the unconscious responds to symbols, rhythm, and emotional fields. Storm sound, especially unheard layers, is a living symbol. Great forces are moving but not aimed at you. You are not the center of disturbance. and this realization brings relief. Gravity waves illustrate this beautifully. They are quiet, unnoticed, yet travel far and last long. Like deep psychological change, not dramatic but systemic. No aha moment required, just time. Listening to storms at night allows the mind to stop monitoring. You don't need to locate the storm or predict its path. You are held within a sound field large enough that personal thoughts no longer fill the space. And when thoughts release dominance, sleep finds room. This explains why absolute silence can make sleep difficult. Without background rhythm, the mind generates its own noise. Storm sounds layered and natural fill space effortlessly. Storms do not speak in one voice. They whisper with rain. They deepen with thunder. They sway with infrasound. They stretch with gravity waves. Together they form a complete foundation, allowing the mind to stop inventing its own rhythm. If you feel yourself drifting now, not clinging to each word, that is not disconnection. It is deeper connection. You are listening not with ears but with the entire nervous system. And that is where sleep begins. You do not need to remember anything here. You do not need to understand waves. You only need to let the vibration remain. Just as storms leave echoes in the atmosphere, these vibrations can carry you into sleep, soft, deep, and wordless. Part 8. Water in all its forms. Of everything that makes up a stormwater is the most familiar and also the most elusive. We think we understand rain because we've lived with it all our lives. But when we slow down, we see that water has never had just one form. It constantly changes, adapts, and reveals the invisible structure of air in subtle ways. Rain does not begin with heavy drops. It starts with microscopic droplets too small to see. In clouds, vapor condenses around tiny dust particles layer by layer. There is no explosion, only patient accumulation. When conditions are right, small droplets merge, grow heavier, and fall. This mirrors emotional formation. Jung believed emotions never arise from nothing. They grow from faint impressions stored in the unconscious. When unnoticed, they accumulate. Eventually, they fall into consciousness like rain, not to disturb, but to bring inner material to light. Some rain never reaches the ground. Virga rain that evaporates before touching earth is both beautiful and melancholic. From afar, thin streaks fade into dry air below. Water begins its journey but cannot complete it. Virga resembles emotions that form but find no place to land. They appear, hover, then dissolve. Not because they are unreal, but because the environment is not ready. In inner life, not every emotion needs full expression. Some only need to form and fade, leaving a gentle cooling behind. As temperature changes with altitude, water takes many forms. Snow falls when the air column is cold. Hail forms when water cycles repeatedly through warm and cold layers. Sleet exists in between. Freezing rain falls as liquid, but freezes on contact. None of these are anomalies. They are precise records of atmospheric structure. Water does not decide what to be. It responds faithfully. This makes water a powerful symbol of the unconscious, no intention, only response. Graupel, soft, pellet-like snow forms when supercooled droplets coat snow crystals. Neither sharp nor soft, it is intermediate, gentle like water, trying a form before choosing how to fall. Hearing about water in these forms at night, the mind learns something kind. There is no single correct way to fall. Some days we fall like rain, clear and direct. Some days we fade like Virga. Some days we hover between states. All are valid. Through water storms tell a story of adaptation, not in words, but in form. Water does not resist temperature. It does not cling to identity. It changes softly, continuously, and this softness allows it to travel far. Jung saw water as the symbol of the deep unconscious, where images, memories, and emotions exist before naming. Listening to rain, snow, and falling water, we touch our deepest layer, no definitions needed. Every form of rain reveals atmospheric structure. Every emotion reveals inner structure at that moment. You do not need to be stable before sleep. You do not need clarity. You may be suspended, dissolving, or falling. Sleep does not require you to be rain or snow. It only asks that you be water. And when you allow that softness, all forms find their way back to quiet. Water's unique gift is that it never forces itself. It does not cling to shape or identity. And because of this, it can pass where stone cannot into the smallest spaces, the deepest layers. In the atmosphere, water listens to temperature, pressure movement, then responds with the most fitting form. Rain when it must fall, snow when it must rest. Virga, when conditions do not allow landing, each choice is enough. Jung saw the unconscious working the same way. It does not argue with consciousness. It expresses only what conditions allow. In safe space, emotions fall like rain. In dry environments, they dissolve like virga. In unstable climates, they appear as unclear intermediates. This offers deep comfort at night. You do not need to force yourself to feel a certain way. Clear is fine. Vague is fine. Dissolving is fine. Sleep does not demand consistency, only permission. The sound of water falling, touching space, disappearing creates a rhythm of letting go. No climax, no emphasis. Just gentle continuation, allowing the mind to stop grasping. You do not need to remember names, rain, snow, sleet, graupel. What matters is knowing no state is wrong, only suited to current conditions. And perhaps now, as you soften like water, you will notice sleep is not a place to reach. It appears when you stop holding yourself in form. Water does not seek sleep, but when movement becomes soft, enough water settles. Part 9. Storms and Topography. When land and sea take part, no storm exists by the sky alone. A storm always needs context, surface, shape, the form of the earth itself to become what it is. When air moves, it does not drift through empty infinity. It meets mountains, it crosses seas, it glides over lakes. And it is these encounters that give rise to storms that are local, specific, and deeply shaped by place. Mountains are among the storm's quietest partners. When air meets a mountain, it cannot pass through, it must rise. And as it rises, it cools. Water vapor condenses. Rain falls. This is known as an orographic storm. The mountain does not cause rain in an active sense. It simply presents a boundary, and the air must adjust in order to pass. This image closely mirrors how limitations function in human life. According to Jung, not every difficulty is an obstacle to overcome. Some mountains force psychological energy to change direction, to rise, to transform. And within that redirection, something falls, perhaps tears, perhaps understanding, perhaps release. Lakes, which appear calm and still, can produce some of the most intense snowstorms. Lake effect storms. When cold air passes over warm lake water, it absorbs moisture, becomes unstable, and releases energy as heavy snow over a very narrow area. Snow can fall meters deep in one place, while nearby regions remain nearly untouched. Lake effect storms show that scale does not determine intensity. A small lake can have immense impact if conditions align. The same is true in the human psyche. Experiences that seem small can leave deep imprints when they meet the right inner airflow, the right moment, the right state. Not because they are large, but because they land in the right place. Monsoons carry an entirely different rhythm. They are not brief and violent. They return reliably each year, like the breathing of a continent. As land heats, air rises and draws moist ocean winds inland. As land cools, the flow reverses. Rain arrives not as an event, but as a season. Monsoons teach us that some movements need no climax, only the right timing. In inner life, certain emotions and changes emerge only when their season arrives. They cannot be forced. One must simply live long enough, fully enough, for rain to fall when conditions ripen. Atmospheric rivers, rivers in the sky, are among the most poetic images in meteorology. These long bands of vapor transport enormous amounts of water from ocean to land. They do not spin or roar, but when they meet suitable terrain, they can produce deep, sustained rainfall. These sky rivers remind us that water never disappears, it only moves. Emotions are the same. They do not vanish. They find other paths. When the mind is spacious and receptive, these rivers nourish. When space is too narrow, they flood. Not because water is bad, but because flow has no channel. When storms interact with terrain, they become personal. No longer abstract phenomena. Each region, each coast, mountain range, shoreline has its own way of speaking with the sky. And so does each human being with emotion. There is no universal standard for how one should feel. Listening to storms and terrain at night, the mind gently learns you are not empty space. You have shape. You have history. You have mountains, lakes, and seasons of your own. Every emotion passing through you is shaped by that form. Sleep, then, is not shutting down. It is returning to inner terrain, where emotions can land correctly, where currents can slow, where you need not be flat, empty, or perfect. You only need to be your own land. And when the sky of the day withdraws, the earth knows how to receive what remains quietly. There is something subtle in how storms meet land, and sea terrain does not react quickly, but it remembers. Mountains form over millions of years. Lakes rest for centuries. Continents warm and cool over cycles longer than a human life. These slow structures determine how storms appear strong or gentle, brief or prolonged. Mountains force rain not by intention, but by form. Air arrives later and must adapt. Rain is not failure, it is continuation. Jung saw the psyche as holding similar terrain. Early memories, childhood experiences, deeply formed beliefs all shape inner valleys and peaks. New emotions do not enter empty space. They meet existing form and fall accordingly. Lake effect storms show that stillness does not mean absence of influence. A calm lake holds heat that interacts with passing air. Likewise, memories thought settled may suddenly respond to new circumstances, not weakness, but inner geography. Monsoons teach patience. No season arrives early. No rain is skipped. Land and sea both need time. Likewise, some inner changes are simply not ready yet. Sleep is the quiet preparation. Atmospheric rivers remind us that movement continues even unseen. Emotions travel long distances within us, waiting for the right terrain to land safely. Listening to storms and terrain before sleep gently reminds you need not flatten yourself to find peace. Your shape is not wrong. Sleep does not ask you to change your inner landscape. It only asks you to stop resisting the flow. When night falls, the sky retreats, the land remains, and everything settles, as the land can receive. Part 10. Storms and Life Chemistry. Biology. Electricity. In common imagination, storms are linked to destruction, broken trees, flooded land, collapsing ground. But when we look slowly and deeply, storms do not only take away, they also bring. And what they bring is often so subtle that we hardly notice life being nourished. Lightning, the violent light tearing through the sky, is not only electricity. In the brief moment it passes through air, its immense energy breaks inert nitrogen molecules, forming compounds plants can absorb. Before fertilizer, before agriculture, lightning was one of Earth's earliest nitrogen sources. Each storm, in this sense, feeds the soil. This carries deep meaning at night. Some inner energies feel too strong, too sharp, too uncomfortable. But Jung taught that not all powerful energy must be suppressed. Some inner electricity, intense emotion, sudden insight, when guided properly, becomes nourishment for growth. Storms also carry dust, tiny particles lifted from deserts and dry lands traveling thousands of kilometers. When they fall with rain, they fertilize forests, oceans, ecosystems that seem disconnected. Some rainforests are nourished by dust from distant deserts. Storms are connectors. They link lands that never meet. They carry pollen microbes, spores across oceans and mountains. Life moves, and storms are among its quietest vehicles. Jung believed psychological growth does not come only from what is tidy and conscious. It also comes from instinctive, chaotic, even dirty parts. Like dust in storms, unconscious fragments travel and enrich new inner ground. Rain gathers electricity, dust, microbes, and then distributes. It gives equally falling where it can be received. Without rain, ecosystems die not from lack of water, but from lack of exchange. Storms redistribute life because they do not allow stagnation. They disturb, but disruption breaks sterility. Inner storms do the same. When old order fails, the psyche is enriched with new elements. Listening to storms and life before sleep comforts us. Even the strongest movements serve continuity. Nothing is wasted. You do not need to understand storms to be nourished by them. You do not need to analyze emotions for them to work. Sleep is where redistribution happens most quietly. The body cleans. The brain reorganizes. The mind moves today's dust where it's needed. You need not participate, only allow. If tonight felt turbulent, trust that beneath it is nourishment. Not every storm comes to destroy. Some storms come to seed. As you close your eyes and sleep arrives, the soil within you is quietly greening little by little. Nature's richest ecosystems thrive where exchange is constant. Floodplains, rainforests, oceans renewed by upwelling. Storms prevent life from standing still. Storm-born dust does not choose origin or destination. It simply connects. Inner experiences travel similarly, reused, transformed, unpredictable. Jung taught maturity comes not from eliminating chaos, but from integrating it. Strong emotion suppressed becomes toxin. Guided, it becomes understanding. Microorganisms carried by storms are humble but essential, just like unconscious fragments in the psyche. Rain falls without judgment. Sleep does the same, sorting without labeling. Storms redistribute energy. Sleep redistributes inner life. Listening at night reminds you need not be perfect to be nourished. Even disturbance seeds growth. Perhaps today stirred you deeply. Like soil after rain, life begins while the surface is still wet. You need not witness it. It happens quietly. Storms do not ask if life is ready. But when storms pass, life always knows what to do next. And tonight, as you drift into sleep within you, a gentle redistribution is unfolding, necessary, quiet, and alive. Part 11. Storms in Human Life. Unlike the ocean or deep forests, human beings do not merely observe storms. Humans live within them. Homes, roads, cities, memories, habits, all lie within the orbit of these great movements. And so, when a storm arrives, it is not only a natural phenomenon, it becomes part of human life, touching our sense of safety, our fears, and the ways we organize our world. Floods, landslides, storm surges do not appear suddenly from nowhere. They are the result of water seeking a path when the space available to it is narrowed, when the land can no longer hold, when the sea no longer has room to breathe. Water, like emotion, does not intend to destroy. It simply follows the path of least resistance. And when that path runs through human settlements, we call it disaster. From Jung's perspective, many crises in human psychological life unfold in the same way, not because emotions are bad, but because there is no space to contain them. When an emotion is suppressed for too long, when there is no safe outlet, it seeks another route, sometimes abruptly, painfully. Yet its essence remains a natural movement, trying to continue existing. Modern cities change how storms manifest. Concrete, asphalt, high-rise buildings, drainage systems, all create artificial terrain where water cannot soak in, where heat accumulates, where rain becomes more intense over shorter periods. Not because storms are stronger, but because the environment has changed. This carries deep meaning when placed alongside inner life. When people live too long in fast rhythms, constant pressure, limited rest, emotional rainfall also becomes harsher. Not because we are weaker, but because the mind no longer has enough absorbent surface. Everything runs straight through, accumulates, and overflows. Lightning safety rules: seek shelter, avoid high ground, avoid water and metal, may sound purely technical, but looked at more deeply, they are lessons in boundaries. When energy is too powerful, humans are not meant to confront it. We are advised to step back, lower ourselves, seek cover, not from cowardice, but from respect for the scale of the forces at play. In Jungian psychology, this is a mature stance, knowing when not to analyze further, not to control further, but simply to protect oneself and wait for the wave to pass. Not every crisis must be solved immediately. Some only need to be survived safely. Human infrastructure, levees, roads, buildings, both protects and channels danger. A levee holds water, but when it breaks, flooding becomes more violent. A road can guide floodwaters directly into a city. Structures built to control nature can sometimes amplify consequences when control fails. This mirrors psychological life clearly. Defense mechanisms built to maintain stability, suppression, denial, intellectualization can help us through a phase. But when they become too rigid, too sealed, their collapse releases emotion far more forcefully. Not because defenses are wrong, but because nothing should be absolute. Listening to storms in human life before sleep is not meant to increase anxiety. On the contrary, it brings deep comfort. Humans are not wrong for being affected by forces larger than themselves. Fatigue, overwhelm, fear, these are natural responses to living in a world that never stops moving. Sleep in this context becomes the most ancient refuge. No walls, no roof. Just allowing consciousness to withdraw temporarily, letting the body and the unconscious take over. In sleep, we do not fight the storm. We step out of its path. You do not need to be a fortified city tonight. You do not need to keep everything standing. You may be a small shelter, dark enough, enclosed enough so that the storm of the day can pass without touching you. And when you sleep, the world continues to move, but you no longer need to follow it. There is a truth rarely spoken gently. Humans were never meant to fully control nature. From the earliest times, people lived alongside floods, monsoons, sea storms. Homes were built higher, villages placed farther from rivers. Daily rhythms adjusted to wet and dry seasons. Rather than conquering storms, humans learned to avoid them, endure them, wait them out. Floods and landslides, when seen more deeply, are not only disasters but reminders of limits. Land cannot hold water forever. Mountains cannot stand unchanged under endless erosion. And humans, too, cannot carry pressure indefinitely without release. When natural boundaries are crossed, systems adjust, sometimes painfully but not meaninglessly. In the spirit of Carl Gustav Jung, moments when humans feel powerless before external forces are often moments when the ego must step back, not to surrender but to recognize that we are not the center of all movement. And paradoxically, this recognition brings a deeper peace. Modern cities make it easy to forget this. Artificial light all night, manufactured heat, systems to control water, wind, temperature. We live with the feeling that everything can be adjusted through technology. But storms remind us that some forces do not belong to humans and need not belong to humans. Infrastructure both protects and channels danger because it is built on the assumption that the world will behave within familiar limits. When those limits are exceeded, rigid structures become fragile. The same applies to psychological structures. Beliefs such as, I must always be strong, I cannot collapse, I must stay in control may carry us through many days. But when a storm large enough appears, these structures often break first. And then humans must relearn something. Ancient shelter is not weakness. Avoiding lightning is not cowardice. Sleeping through a storm is not escape. It is the wisdom of a being who knows they are facing something far larger than themselves. Sleep in human life is the most subtle form of shelter. When you sleep, you do not battle the storm outside. You do not monitor the news. You do not build more defenses. You withdraw from the front lines of consciousness, allowing deeper systems, body, unconscious instinct to work for you. Perhaps today you heard too much bad news. Perhaps the outside world feels very loud. But just as in a great storm, not every place is equally dangerous. There are spaces quiet enough, enclosed enough, where you can simply stay and wait. You do not need to save the entire city tonight. You do not need to fix the world before sleeping. You only need to be safe inside yourself. And when you allow that the storm outside or within continues moving, but it no longer carries you with it. Part 12. Humans observing storms long before radar. Before satellites, humans lived with storms, not through data but through signs. Changes in cloud color, unusual wind direction, birds flying low, heavier air, seas becoming eerily still. Our ancestors did not forecast storms. They listened to them with their bodies and with knowledge passed through generations. These signs were not precise by modern scientific standards, but they carried a special quality, a direct bond between humans and nature. Storms were not distant phenomena. They were part of lived environment, seasonal rhythm, collective story. Observing storms was not about control, but about survival through respect. According to Jung, these ancient ways of reading nature are connected to the collective unconscious, where humans and the world were not yet sharply separated. People did not stand outside to measure. They stood within to feel. And that felt connection formed a deep, fragile, but genuine relationship. As science developed and radar emerged, humans began to see what was once invisible. Wind rotations forming inside clouds, structures growing before storms appeared. Radar does not see with eyes, but with waves. It does not wait for storms to arrive. It reads latent movement. This marked a turning point. Humans no longer only reacted to storms, they anticipated them. Satellites lifted observation further. From above, Earth appeared as a whole, slowly spiraling cloud bands, systems crossing oceans, regions affected in vast rhythms. From this view, storms were no longer local disasters. They were part of global movement, beautiful, in a cold, distant way. And yet, the more humans observe, the more they realize complete control is impossible. Data improves, prediction, early warning, loss reduction. But storms still come. Still change direction, still strengthen or weaken beyond expectation. Science does not erase chaos. It makes chaos livable. Storm chasers embody a unique relationship. They do not flee, nor do they control. Not from love of danger, but from a desire to witness directly. There is something deeply human here, standing close enough to see, yet conscious enough not to dissolve into it. Psychologically, this corresponds to a mature attitude, observing without identifying. Jung described this as consciousness strong enough to look into the unconscious without being swept away. Not denying, not fleeing, simply seeing, acknowledging, allowing it to exist within a larger context. Listening to how humans observe storms before sleep brings a special comfort. You are not the first to face forces greater than yourself. Before you, countless generations looked at the sky with the same quiet question, what is coming, and what should we do? Today, the answers seem more scientific, but the fundamental feeling remains. We live in a moving world, and observation is a way not to be consumed by that movement. Sleep, in this sense, is a very special form of observation. When you sleep, you stop watching storms. You let the world continue without your witness. This is not indifference. It is trust that not everything requires conscious presence. You have observed enough for today. You know enough to be safe. The rest can be left to the sky, to science, to eyes watching elsewhere. And you may close your eyes and let the night do its work. There is something subtle in the history of storm observation. The farther humans can see, the more they learn to step back. Ancestors read storms to prepare, securing boats, reinforcing homes, staying still. Modern observation does not lead to confrontation, but evacuation, avoidance, choosing safety over proving strength. Observation then is not intrusion. It is the creation of distance. Radar and satellites do not shrink storms, but they shrink fear. When we know where a storm is and how it moves, it no longer feels everywhere. Chaos gains shape, and with shape, the human mind can breathe. This matters deeply for inner life. Many nighttime anxieties arise not from specific threats, but from vague feelings that something is about to happen. When unseen, the mind exaggerates. When given a frame, even a limited one, we are less pulled under. Storm chasers symbolically represent this, close enough to see, but not becoming the storm. And this is precisely the stance depth psychology encourages. When facing inner storms, observe emotion without identifying the self with it. There is a beautiful paradox here. The better humans observe, the less they intervene. They do not try to fix storms. They adjust their position. And this adjustment is lasting wisdom. Listening to the story of observing storms at night brings comfort. You do not need to solve everything immediately. Some things only need to be seen clearly, named, shaped to feel lighter. No action required, no conclusion needed. Just knowing it exists, and you are not directly in its path. Sleep in this sense is the highest form of trust. You have done enough observing today. Consciousness has completed its task. The rest, the large movements, the complex systems can be left to the world and to the unconscious. You do not need to watch the storm all night. You do not need to track every change. Other eyes are watching, other systems are working, and you may take one final step back into sleep. And in that small retreat, you are safe. Part 11. Storms in Human Life. Unlike the ocean or deep forests, human beings do not merely observe storms. Humans live within them. Homes, roads, cities, memories, habits, all lie within the orbit of these great movements. And so when a storm arrives, it is not only a natural phenomenon. It becomes part of human life, touching our sense of safety, our fears, and the ways we organize our world. Floods, landslides, storm surges do not appear suddenly from nowhere. They are the result of water seeking a path when the space available to it has narrowed, when the land can no longer hold, when the sea no longer has room to breathe. Water, like emotion, does not intend to destroy. It simply follows the path of least resistance. And when that path runs through human settlements, we call it disaster. From Jung's perspective, many crises in human psychological life unfold in the same way, not because emotions are bad, but because there is no space to contain them. When an emotion is suppressed for too long, when there is no safe outlet, it seeks another route, sometimes abruptly, painfully. Yet its essence remains a natural movement trying to continue existing. Modern cities change how storms manifest. Concrete, asphalt, high-rise buildings, drainage systems all create artificial terrain where water cannot soak in, where heat accumulates, where rain becomes more intense over shorter periods. Not because storms are stronger, but because the environment has changed. This carries deep meaning when placed alongside inner life. When people live too long in fast rhythms, constant pressure, limited rest, emotional rainfall also becomes harsher. Not because we are weaker, but because the mind no longer has enough absorbent surface. Everything runs straight through, accumulates and overflows. Lightning, safety rules, seek shelter. Avoid high ground, avoid water and metal. May sound purely technical, but looked at more deeply, they are lessons in boundaries. When energy is too powerful, humans are not meant to confront it. We are advised to step back, lower ourselves, seek cover. Not from cowardice, but from respect for the scale of the forces at play. In Jungian psychology, this is a mature stance, knowing when not to analyze further, not to control further, but simply to protect oneself and wait for the wave to pass. Not every crisis must be solved immediately. Some only need to be survived safely. Human infrastructure, levees, roads, buildings, both protects and channels danger. A levee holds water, but when it breaks, flooding becomes more violent. A road can guide floodwaters directly into a city. Structures built to control nature can sometimes amplify consequences when control fails. This mirrors psychological life clearly. Defense mechanisms built to maintain stability, suppression, denial, intellectualization can help us through a phase. But when they become too rigid, too sealed, their collapse releases emotion far more forcefully. Not because defenses are wrong, but because nothing should be absolute. Listening to storms in human life before sleep is not meant to increase anxiety. On the contrary, it brings deep comfort. Humans are not wrong for being affected by forces larger than themselves. Fatigue, overwhelm, fear, these are natural responses to living in a world that never stops moving. Sleep in this context becomes the most ancient refuge. No walls, no roof. Just allowing consciousness to withdraw temporarily, letting the body and the unconscious take over. In sleep, we do not fight the storm. We step out of its path. You do not need to be a fortified city tonight. You do not need to keep everything standing. You may be a small shelter dark enough, enclosed enough, so that the storm of the day can pass without touching you. And when you sleep, the world continues to move, but you no longer need to follow it. There is a truth rarely spoken gently: humans were never meant to fully control nature. From the earliest times, people lived alongside floods, monsoons, sea storms. Homes were built higher, villages placed farther from rivers. Daily rhythms adjusted to wet and dry seasons. Rather than conquering storms, humans learned to avoid them, endure them, wait them out. Floods and landslides, when seen more deeply, are not only disasters but reminders of limits. Land cannot hold water forever. Mountains cannot stand unchanged under endless erosion. And humans, too, cannot carry pressure indefinitely without release. When natural boundaries are crossed, systems adjust, sometimes painfully, but not meaninglessly. In the spirit of Carl Gustav Jung, moments when humans feel powerless before external forces are often moments when the ego must step back, not to surrender but to recognize that we are not the center of all movement. And paradoxically, this recognition brings a deeper peace. Modern cities make it easy to forget this. Artificial light all night, manufactured heat, systems to control water, wind, temperature. We live with the feeling that everything can be adjusted through technology. But storms remind us that some forces do not belong to humans and need not belong to humans. Infrastructure both protects and channels danger because it is built on the assumption that the world will behave within familiar limits. When those limits are exceeded, rigid structures become fragile. The same applies to psychological structures. Beliefs such as, "I must always be strong, I cannot collapse, I must stay in control," may carry us through many days. But when a storm large enough appears, these structures often break first. And then humans must relearn something: ancient shelter is not weakness. Avoiding lightning is not cowardice. Sleeping through a storm is not escape. It is the wisdom of a being who knows they are facing something far larger than themselves. Sleep in human life is the most subtle form of shelter. When you sleep, you do not battle the storm outside. You do not monitor the news. You do not build more defenses. You withdraw from the front lines of consciousness, allowing deeper systems, body unconscious instinct to work for you. Perhaps today you heard too much bad news. Perhaps the outside world feels very loud. But just as in a great storm, not every place is equally dangerous. There are spaces, quiet enough, enclosed enough, where you can simply stay and wait. You do not need to save the entire city tonight. You do not need to fix the world before sleeping. You only need to be safe inside yourself. And when you allow that, the storm outside or within continues moving, but it no longer carries you with it. Part 12. Humans observing storms long before radar. Before satellites, humans lived with storms. Not through data, but through signs. Changes in cloud color, unusual wind direction, birds flying low, heavier air, seas becoming eerily still. Our ancestors did not forecast storms. They listened to them with their bodies and with knowledge passed through generations. These signs were not precise by modern scientific standards, but they carried a special quality, a direct bond between humans and nature. Storms were not distant phenomena. They were part of lived environment, seasonal rhythm, collective story. Observing storms was not about control, but about survival through respect. According to Jung, these ancient ways of reading nature are connected to the collective unconscious, where humans and the world were not yet sharply separated. People did not stand outside to measure. They stood within to feel, and that felt connection formed a deep, fragile but genuine relationship. As science developed and radar emerged, humans began to see what was once invisible. Wind rotations forming inside clouds, structures growing before storms appeared. Radar does not see with eyes but with waves. It does not wait for storms to arrive. It reads latent movement. This marked a turning point. Humans no longer only reacted to storms, they anticipated them. Satellites lifted observation further. From above, Earth appeared as a whole, slowly spiraling cloud bands, systems crossing oceans, regions affected in vast rhythms. From this view, storms were no longer local disasters. They were part of global movement, beautiful in a cold, distant way. And yet, the more humans observe, the more they realize complete control is impossible. Data improves prediction, early warning, loss reduction. But storms still come. Still change direction, still strengthen or weaken beyond expectation. Science does not erase chaos. It makes chaos livable. Storm chasers embody a unique relationship. They do not flee, nor do they control. They approach, observe, record. Not from love of danger, but from a desire to witness directly. There is something deeply human here, standing close enough to see, yet conscious enough not to dissolve into it. Psychologically, this corresponds to a mature attitude, observing without identifying. Jung described this as consciousness strong enough to look into the unconscious without being swept away. Not denying, not fleeing, simply seeing, acknowledging, allowing it to exist within a larger context. Listening to how humans observe storms before sleep brings a special comfort. You are not the first to face forces greater than yourself. Before you, countless generations looked at the sky with the same quiet question, what is coming and what should we do? Today, the answers seem more scientific, but the fundamental feeling remains. We live in a moving world, and observation is a way not to be consumed by that movement. Sleep, in this sense, is a very special form of observation. When you sleep, you stop watching storms. You let the world continue without your witness. This is not indifference. It is trust that not everything requires conscious presence. You have observed enough for today. You know enough to be safe. The rest can be left to the sky, to science, to eyes watching elsewhere. And you may close your eyes and let the night do its work. There is something subtle in the history of storm observation. The farther humans can see, the more they learn to step back. Ancestors read storms to prepare, securing boats, reinforcing homes, staying still. Modern observation does not lead to confrontation, but evacuation, avoidance, choosing safety over proving strength. Observation, then, is not intrusion. It is the creation of distance. Radar and satellites do not shrink storms, but they shrink fear. When we know where a storm is and how it moves, it no longer feels everywhere. Chaos gains shape, and with shape, the human mind can breathe. This matters deeply for inner life. Many nighttime anxieties arise not from specific threats, but from vague feelings that something is about to happen. When unseen, the mind exaggerates. When given a frame, even a limited one, we are less pulled under. Storm chasers symbolically represent this, close enough to see but not becoming the storm. And this is precisely the stance depth psychology encourages. When facing inner storms, observe emotion without identifying the self with it. There is a beautiful paradox here. The better humans observe, the less they intervene. They do not try to fix storms. They adjust their position, and this adjustment is lasting wisdom. Listening to the story of observing storms at night brings comfort. You do not need to solve everything immediately. Some things only need to be seen clearly, named, shaped, to feel lighter. No action required, no conclusion needed, just knowing it exists and you are not directly in its path. Sleep, in this sense, is the highest form of trust. You have done enough observing today. Consciousness has completed its task. The rest, the large movements, the complex systems can be left to the world and to the unconscious. You do not need to watch the storm all night. You do not need to track every change. Other eyes are watching, other systems are working, and you may take one final step back into sleep, and in that small retreat you are safe. Part 13. Rare and strange phenomena. For most of the time, when people think about storms, they look downward toward the ground. Rain falls, wind blows, trees fall, waves rise. But there is another world of storms, that very few people have ever seen the world above the clouds. There, storms are no longer only water and wind. They become light, plasma, and movements that connect Earth to space. Sprites, blue jets, elves, names that sound as if they came from mythology, are in fact electrical phenomena, occurring above thunderclouds, at altitudes invisible to the naked eye from the ground. They were only recorded when humans began to observe storms from afar, from above, from perspectives no longer confined by the familiar horizon. Sprites appear as pale red, delicate branching flashes of light, lasting only milliseconds in the upper atmosphere. Blue jets shoot upward from cloud tops, glowing cold blue like inverted flames. Elves expand as enormous rings of light spreading rapidly before fading away. All of them are brief, rare, and difficult to capture. What is remarkable is this: these phenomena cause no harm. They do not strike the ground. They do not destroy. They simply appear, perform the work of balancing electrical charge between storms and the upper atmosphere, and then disappear. As if the storm, after speaking with the earth, continues its dialogue with the higher sky. For centuries, humans had no idea these phenomena existed. Not because they did not occur, but because there was no suitable vantage point to see them. Only with the advent of aeroplanes, satellites, and light-sensitive cameras did the sky reveal another hidden layer. This carries a profound meaning. Reality is always richer than what we currently see. According to Jung, what we call strange is often simply what has not yet found a place within our existing system of understanding. It is not necessarily supernatural. It merely lies at the edge of the familiar. And the unconscious, like the sky above storm clouds, contains many such movements, rare, brief, difficult to name, yet real. Ball lightning is a clear example. Luminous spheres that hover, move slowly, sometimes pass through windows, sometimes vanish without a trace. Science has documented them, yet still lacks a complete explanation. Not due to lack of effort, but because the phenomenon resists repetition and stable conditions. Ball lightning resembles certain inner experiences of human beings, rare moments, brief, unreproducible, yet deeply impactful. They are not meant to be analyzed. They only need to be acknowledged as having existed. What matters is this: modern science does not deny these phenomena simply because it does not fully understand them. It places them in the category of understudy. This is a stance very different from fear and very different from denial. It is a mature position, accepting that knowledge has boundaries. Listening to rare and strange storm phenomena before sleep is not meant to stimulate anxious curiosity. On the contrary, it brings a gentle sense of calm. The world is not only what we must manage each day. There are layers of operation far removed from daily life, beautiful, mysterious, and requiring no human intervention. In this way, storms become bridges. They connect the earth where humans live. They connect the atmosphere where weather operates. And they reach into space where different laws begin. One system with many layers, many levels, many expressions. This reflects deeply within the human mind. We are not only our daytime thoughts, not only our concrete worries. We also contain deeper layers, where dreams arise, where strange images pass through, where nameless emotions flicker and fade. Not to be understood, only to remind us that we are wider than our daily roles. When you hear about sprites, blue jets, elves, you do not need to imagine them precisely. You only need to hold a very light feeling. There are lights that appear without needing to be held. And sleep is similar. It does not come because you call it. It comes when you stop trying to control. Perhaps tonight you do not need explanations, no conclusions, no logical framework. You only need to know that even within storms there are phenomena that are very beautiful, very quiet, very brief, and very real, appearing and dissolving without leaving weight behind. And as your eyelids gently close, perhaps some layer within you is also flickering softly, then dissolving into sleep in its own way. There is a gentle common thread among all rare and strange storm phenomena. They do not seek human attention. Sprites do not appear to be seen. Blue jets do not rise to impress. Elves do not expand to be named. They occur because conditions are ready, then quietly fade, leaving no lasting trace. This contrasts with how humans often live. We expect everything to have purpose, to be understood, to be remembered. But the sky above storm clouds teaches a different lesson. Not everything that exists needs to be held. Some phenomena only need permission to happen. In the spirit of Carl Gustav Jung, the unconscious functions in the same way. It does not deliver messages directly. It does not explain. It expresses itself through images, flashes, fleeting sensations, strange dreams, unnamed thoughts before sleep, subtle bodily vibrations all resemble sprites of the mind, brief illuminations that vanish. Ball lightning deepens this image. A luminous sphere appears, drifts slowly, sometimes passes through enclosed spaces, then disappears without trace. No clear beginning, no complete ending, only presence in the moment. And it is precisely this ungraspable quality that makes it haunting. Yet when viewed through the rhythm of night, the haunting fades. In its place arises a different feeling. The world allows us not to understand everything. And this does not make the world more dangerous. It makes it wider. Storms connect Earth, atmosphere, and space, not through violence, but through transitions. From lightning striking the ground, to sprites shooting upward, to electrical interactions with near-Earth space, all part of one continuous flow. No rigid boundaries, only phase changes. The human mind is similar. Between waking consciousness and deep sleep, there is no sudden door shutting, only gradual layers, fragmented thoughts, incomplete images, nameless sensations, and when we do not grasp them, they become a gentle bridge into sleep. Listening to strange phenomena before sleep is a quiet way of telling the brain, there is nothing more you need to understand tonight. You have understood enough. What remains may simply exist without explanation. You do not need to chase the light. You do not need to remember shapes. You do not need to retell the story. Like sprites above the clouds, images within you may appear, then dissolve, leaving no obligation behind. And when you allow that sleep arrives not as an event, but as a higher layer you briefly touch, then gently drift through. Part 14. Storms as Earth's heat engine. At the deepest level of meteorological science, storms are not disasters. They are mechanisms. Vast heat engines operating slowly, continuously, tirelessly, with one purpose: to redistribute Earth's energy. Everything begins quietly with sunlight. Light touches the ocean, warming the water. No sound, no violence, just heat accumulating gradually over time. The ocean stores heat like a long-term memory of the planet. And when imbalance grows large enough, movement begins. Storms form not because Earth is angry, but because heat cannot remain still. Heat always seeks to move from surplus to deficit. Storms are the pathway. They convert heat into wind, clouds, rain. They turn invisible energy into visible motion. And through this process, Earth slowly returns toward balance. Seen this way, storms are not disruptions of order, but expressions of order, adjusting itself. Without storms, heat would accumulate excessively in certain regions, and the global system would become far more unstable. Storms, though locally violent, allow the whole to remain livable. According to Jung, many psychological phenomena follow the same logic. When emotions are suppressed too long, when psychic energy cannot circulate, it does not disappear, it accumulates. And then, in some form, crisis dreams, emotional eruptions, it seeks release. Not to destroy the person, but to restore inner balance. Storms teach us that movement is not always disorder. Sometimes stillness is more dangerous. Living systems require flow. Earth needs wind, oceans need storms, and the human mind also needs pathways for energy to move, transform, and discharge naturally. When we experience storms from within their immediate impact, we feel fear. But when viewed from afar, globally, we see rhythm. Storms form, travel, dissipate, like the planet's slow breathing. Neither fast nor slow, not personal, simply functioning. This perspective brings deep comfort at night. If even the most violent phenomena serve balance, perhaps the disturbances within human life are not meaningless. Perhaps they perform work consciousness resists, yet the whole person requires. In this framework, sleep becomes the mind's small storm. When you sleep, consciousness withdraws. Thought releases control, and deeper processes redistribute energy. Memories are sorted, emotions softened, the body repaired. Not chaos, but an ancient self-regulating mechanism. You do not need to participate. You do not need to understand how it works. Just as Earth does not need anyone to manage storms, your mind does not need you to supervise sleep. You only need to allow movement. And when you release control, the inner heat engines begin their work very slowly, very precisely, very gently. A common misunderstanding about balance is that it means stillness, no movement, no disturbance, no storms. But in nature, balance has never meant immobility. Oceans balance through currents. Atmospheres balance through wind. Earth balances through storms. If sunlight only heated without redistribution, the planet would quickly become uninhabitable. One side too hot, the other too cold. Life cannot survive prolonged extremes. Storms arise not as accidents, but as natural responses of a living system. Storms take heat from where there is excess and carry it away. In doing so, they create wind, rain, clouds, lightning expressions that unsettle humans. But these expressions signal that the system is still functioning, still striving to remain viable. In Jung's view, psychological life does not aim for permanent calm. A mind without disturbance has ceased living. Depth psychology does not seek no storms, but the ability to pass through storms without breaking. Some strong emotions arise, not because we have failed, but because energy has accumulated and needs release. Without safe pathways, it forces its own, sometimes violently. But with space, sleep, and letting go, energy transforms more gently, like storms dissolving over cold water. Storms are heat engines because they choose no side. They are neither good nor bad. They simply perform their function. And perhaps what exhausts humans is not life's movements, but the belief that those movements should not exist. When we accept movement as part of balance, mental burden lightens. Hearing this at night can bring a strange relief. If storms are not Earth's fault, then perhaps the small storms within you are not your fault either. They may simply signal a system attempting to self-regulate as best it can. Sleep is central to this process. When you sleep, you do not force calm. You allow movement without conscious interference. Heart rate slows. Body temperature shifts. Brain states change. Inner heat flows. Redistributes silently. You do not need to create balance. You do not need to fix yourself before sleeping. Just as Earth does not need to stop storms to survive, you do not need to extinguish all disturbances to rest. You only need to lie within the larger movement and allow the system to do its work. As the night deepens, the storm outside or within is completing its cycle. And you may rest, because balance does not require you to stay awake to maintain it. Part 15. Conclusion. Letting the storm drift away. After everything we have moved through together, from the energy of storms, the structure of clouds, invisible streams of water, to rare flashes of light in the sky, there is now nothing left that needs to be remembered. This conclusion is not a place for summarizing knowledge. It is the place where all knowledge is allowed to settle like rain after completing its long journey. A storm, when observed long enough and deeply enough, no longer resembles anger. It does not intend to punish. It does not carry human emotion. A storm is a dialogue between heat and cold, between water and air, between wind and light. A wordless conversation without judgment, consisting only of nature's precise responses to itself. In this way, storms are no different from the inner movements of human beings. When emotions rise, when thoughts spiral, when the body grows tired, these are not signs of something going wrong. They are dialogues between different parts of the same living system. And like storms, these dialogues do not require outside intervention. They only need not to be interrupted. Carl Jung emphasized that healing does not come from eliminating the unconscious, but from allowing consciousness to stop interfering excessively. Sleep is the rare moment in the day when this happens naturally. When we sleep, we stop trying to understand, to fix, to control. We allow the system to recalibrate itself, following an ancient rhythm in which consciousness does not need to participate. And so in this final part, there is no call to reflect, no message to remember, no lesson to carry into tomorrow. Everything that needed to be done has already been done. Like clouds after a storm, everything is gradually dissolving, returning the sky to openness and space. You do not need to remember the names of phenomena. You do not need to distinguish types of storms. You do not need to hold on to any detail. Your brain has listened enough. Your mind has traveled far enough. What remains now is the rhythm of rain settling, not because the storm has won or lost, but because its cycle has completed. Every movement has its natural stopping point, if it is not held on to. Let your breathing slow, along with that rhythm. No need to make it deeper. No need to make it steadier. Just allow it to find its own natural pace. If a few thoughts still drift through, that is all right. They are like late raindrops falling sporadically after heavy rain. No need to chase them. No need to name them. They will dissolve into the ground on their own. The storm tonight does not need you to understand it. Sleep is the same. You do not need to do anything correctly. You do not need to relax perfectly. You do not need to reach any state at all. Just be still. And in that very simple stillness, your body will receive the rest of the night. Your mind will quietly close the doors that need closing. Deeper layers will begin their work silently, precisely, gently. If storms are the earth's dialogue with itself, then sleep is your dialogue with the deepest part of yourself. No words, no answers, just letting the night do its work. And as you drift into sleep, the storm outside or within is already able to drift away. There is a very special moment after every storm that few people notice. Not when the wind fully stops, not when the clouds completely clear, but the moment when space feels wider, as if the sky has just finished taking a long, deep breath. Sound recedes, light softens, and for a brief moment the world asks nothing of humans. This conclusion exists for that moment. The storm has completed its dialogue between heat, water, wind, and light. No side wins, no side loses. There is only enough exchange for everything to continue existing. And when the dialogue ends, silence is not emptiness, it is a newly formed balance. In Carl Gustav Jung's depth psychology, silence after an intense inner process is not a frightening void. It is a sign that consciousness has stopped working and deeper layers have taken over. Healing, in this sense, is not loud. It happens when no one is watching. So if right now you feel you no longer want to listen more, understand more, or do things right anymore, that is a good sign. It means you have reached the right stopping point. You do not need to keep this story in memory. Tomorrow you may forget almost all of it, and that does not diminish its effect. Like rain soaking into the earth without remembering each drop, what needs to remain will remain. What does not will drift away. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is missing. If there is still a bit of tension in your shoulders, your neck, your chest, let it be there. No need to release it. No need to fix it. When sleep becomes deep enough, the body will do its own work. It has known how long before you learned how to think. You do not need to follow your breath. You do not need to count. You do not need to imagine anything positive. Just allow yourself to not do anything anymore. Like the sky after a storm, like the ground after rain, like distant lights fading into the night, all large movements have passed. Smaller movements are slowing, and finally, only sleep remains. Not as a goal, not as a reward, but as the home you return to every night. And when you drift into it, you do not need to carry this story. You do not need to carry the storm. Just carry yourself very lightly, very quietly. After moving together through every layer of the storm, perhaps what matters most now is not remembering what you heard, but sensing how much quieter it feels inside. A storm, when watched long enough, is no longer an image of anger. It becomes an ancient conversation between the most basic elements of this world: heat and cold water, and air, wind and light. No element dominates another. There is only continuous exchange until the system finds the state it needs. And humans have never stood outside of this. We are also part of nature. We also carry energies that need to move, emotions that need distribution, thoughts that need to settle. When a day passes with too much noise, too much responsibility, too much tension, night does not ask you to understand more. It allows you to let go. From Carl Jung's perspective, healing is not about fixing broken parts. Healing occurs when the entire system is placed into a more harmonious relationship. And sleep is the most natural way this happens. No effort, no method, just letting consciousness step back. So in this ending, you do not need to carry any details about storms. You do not need to remember names, structures, or stories. Everything that needed to stay has already found its place. The rest can gently drift away like clouds dissolving after rain. If a few thoughts still pass through your mind right now, that is completely normal. They are like the final raindrops, slow, sparse, no longer strong enough to make sound. You do not need to push them away. Just let them fall, then dissolve into the quiet night. Let your shoulders grow a little heavier. Let your jaw soften. Let your breath find its own rhythm, no deeper, no steadier. You do not need to do this right. You do not need to reach perfect relaxation. You do not need to force yourself to sleep. Sleep does not come because you try. Sleep comes when you no longer need to try. Just as storms do not end because someone asks them to, but because their cycle is complete, sleep arrives when the body and mind recognize it is time to rest. If you are listening this far, perhaps you have moved through a long day. Perhaps you carried more than you realized. And if that is true, allowing yourself to lie still and listen to a story before sleep is already a very gentle act toward yourself. Not everyone does that. Tonight you do not need to become better. You do not need to understand yourself more deeply. You do not need to prepare for tomorrow. Tomorrow will arrive as it always does. For now, you may stay with the night. If stories like these help you sleep more easily, slow your mind and allow your body to rest as it should, you may gently subscribe to the channel Stories for Sleep. Here there is no rush, no noise, and no demand to be anything other than yourself in moments of rest. You do not need to remember to subscribe right now. If you forget, that is fine. And if you return on another night, Stories for Sleep will still be here waiting with stories told very slowly. For now, there is nothing else you need to do. Let the sound gradually fade. Let the screen turn off when you wish. Let your body choose the most comfortable position. And when your eyelids grow heavier, when thoughts begin to loosen, when the daytime world feels far enough away, I only want to say one very simple thing to you. Good night. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. Tonight, every storm has already been able to drift away.